A warm good morning to all of you. Today, the topic that I'll be presenting on is original content. I'm glad to see Andrew's here. Andrew and I had like a great conversation earlier on. I was honored to be a guest on his amazing podcast. I think it's called the Panglecast. And it was just a wonderful conversation. Highly recommend everyone, reach out to Andrew. He's a very colorful, entertaining person. Uh, okay, and it's kind of related to Andrew. So when the topic of my talk today is about original content, and it's about trying to immerse as much personality as you can in whatever content you produce out there, because ultimately it's that personality that separates you from everyone else. I'm just going to pick on Andrew briefly because Andrew was top of mind. So Andrew is a Zoom wizard. He has a whole bunch of tech up his sleeves, even though he's wearing a polo right now. But I'm sure there's a lot of tech up there. So Andrew has the ability of infusing a lot of creativity with a lot of effects. And Andrew, this is cue to you to kind of show some of your most popular effects, like the elevator door, which in my opinion is absolutely stunning. And that one. Thank you, Andrew. Andrew has the ability to do all this stuff in real time on cue. So just imagine how impactful that experience is. And oh my God. Yeah. So Andrew actually has a class on how to do all this wizardry. And it's using tricks like this that can make any piece of content stand out. And the purpose of this talk is to how to make content stand out. So on the one hand, it's either the message that makes it stand out, or it's the modality that makes it stand out. So when it comes to messaging, yes, it's your message, it's how you say it, how you choose to articulate it, and that's what either gets someone's attention or not. Or on the flip side, it's the vehicle. So what is the vehicle that is containing your message, and is that something that can wow people and engage people? As you know, everyone, I've heard this said recently, people now have mass ADD and the attention span of a gnat or a goldfish, whichever your favorite animal is. And so people have extremely short attention spans. The trick is, how do you get their attention long enough for your message to hit them and for them to then be intellectually intrigued by your message? So that's where you can employ various techniques to build that intrigue visually in your messaging. As far as how this relates to my talk today, like I said, is about content creation. At RSQUARE Media, we've been doing video production for many years, pretty much since the beginning, and that has actually evolved tremendously in the course of time. Case in point, we help clients by producing either animated videos. The animated videos have a little bit of spectrum to it. It could be those doodle videos with that Sharpie pen and the hand holding the Sharpie pen, moving all over the screen, drawing shapes and images as the voiceover speaks over it. So that's called the doodle video. That's something that we do. We also do animated videos, which could be either 2D or 3D animation. The difference between 2D and 3D is that if it's 2D, it's typically, think of it almost like a PowerPoint presentation with animation in the PowerPoint, where you have things flying in from the left and right, or from the top and the bottom, and there's images and there's graphs and shapes and charts all moving in unison, in harmony, whilst, and these are obviously visual ploys to communicate the story. So that's your typical 2D animation. 3D animation is one where it's more rich video, where you can get a feeling of depth in it. You can actually see objects revolve, and it feels like there's a little bit more depth to it. And that's what, distinguishes between 2D and 3D animation. And I'll be sharing a few examples of this. I won't play the entire clip necessarily, but just to illustrate a point. So for example, let me play for you an example of the doodle video, even though I'm sure everyone knows what a doodle video is, but let me get this on screen. Welcome. And let me see if I can get this. Zoom has changed its shared settings recently, and it's kind of making sharing a little bit more challenging than earlier, but let me see if this works. Okay, can everyone?
Yes, we can see it.
The wrong
see design anything, it says.
Yeah. So that's I'm sorry, that's the wrong screen. Let me, okay, screen 2. Okay. Can everyone see this video?
Dynamite Networking Group.
Right. So this is, and I'm just going to play a few seconds of this just to show you what I mean by a doodle video.
Welcome to Dynamite Networking Group. Networking done differently. We have many open spots like CPA, accountants, social media, photographers.
Yeah, so this is an example of the classic doodle video. And this is one way to achieve storytelling. Another way to achieve storytelling is, like I said, the animated video, as well as puppet videos, which we've just started recently producing. And I'll share an example of them to kind of give you an idea. Hello. First of all, can everyone see the screen that I'm sharing, as well as can everyone hear? I just want to make sure.
Yeah, the video and audio is good.
Okay, perfect. So this is a puppet video that we recently started producing, this type of video, and this is another way of storytelling. So I'll just play this for a few seconds just to kind of illustrate what this is.
Hello, I'm Rajiv.
And this is TRN.
Thank you for being here to celebrate our special day. Many of you may not know about our love story, so we thought we would ask Taryn's sister to bring the story to life through a puppet show. I requested us to be elephants because it's one of my favorite animals.
Well, I like your red tie and my pretty necklace. So Rajiv and I met just 8 months ago.
Okay, so you kind of like get the idea as to what that is. And these are just different ways of storytelling. And a case in point, and of course, I'll share the links if anyone is curious about. I did leave a few videos on that cliffhanger. So if you wanted to see what happens next, you can obviously check out the video. The purpose of some of these videos lend themselves to certain kinds of ideas. So for example, if let's say the subject at hand is, let's say, a very dry subject, yes, we're all very passionate about what we do, but sometimes it can be perceived as being a little bit dry. And let's say I'm just, I think Peter isn't here, but let's say cryptocurrency just makes my head spin. And NFTs and what the heck it is. And, sometimes it can be a little bit trying to wrap your brain around these fairly new concepts. So how do you explain something as complex? It's complex on a technological standpoint. It's also complex on a utility standpoint. It's even further complex to visualize how you can engage with it. So it's just a varying level of complexity. The challenge is that how do you make that seem less intimidating? And one of the ways to make it less intimidating is by employing something like either a doodle video or a puppet video, because when you see puppets, it kind of disarms you to the extent that you don't expect to be either sold too aggressively, nor do you expect for this video, you kind of in a way expect it to be simple, because when you see puppets, you think that this is meant for kids, and kids understand only when there are in very simplistic terms. So it's almost like if you employ this, you're thinking that, okay, so I think I can get behind this. I think I can understand what they're trying to say. So that's the benefit of, let's say, puppet videos as an example. And sure, there are other standard approaches like the classic doodle video, which there might be some fatigue around, because yes, earlier it was the shiny object syndrome and everyone, loved doodle videos and it was great. But, and again, doodle videos are great at explaining things with processes. So if you have something that has like many steps in it, or is very linear in fashion, where the process moves from different stages, then that's something that can be explained in a doodle video, because it's important to visualize the various stages and to make each stage come alive. So that's where I would use a doodle video, where it's like super complex. But if you're trying to explain an idea which is just broadly very complex, and you're trying to come up with some kind of allegory or a analogy to explain it, then maybe a puppet video could be something that you could look at as to how to make this come alive.
You have 4 minutes left. Do you want to move to Q&A, or do you want to just?
Right. Yeah. So I was actually thinking that this talk would be more like an interactive thing. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to sort of interrupt me at any time.
Yeah, you can certainly add things into the chat, any questions you might have. How does this relate specifically to your core business of reputation management?
That's a great question, Michael. So this, my core business is reputation management and reputation repair. Reputation management is essentially building a reputation and establishing it with assets. These assets are things like having a great looking website, a logo, like a lot of what Howard does. And as far as like the website design piece of it, and then other pieces are creating original content to support said assets, like having great content to appear on your LinkedIn or on your Facebook or on your Instagram, your Twitter, your YouTube channel, etc. So having original content is something that conveys your approach, your personality, but also your creativity. And it's an opportunity to distinguish yourself in perhaps a less in your face way. Because if, let's say, you have a clever video, that people are going to notice that it's a clever video. They're going to notice a certain spin to it, as opposed to you just coming out and saying, I'm different and like me because I'm different. So there are like different ways to kind of achieve that. And to answer your question, Michael, directly, yes, this ties in directly with the reputation management business, because some people are like, I was just speaking to an investor yesterday. I think they have like a $6 trillion fund or something like that. And they are desperately trying to establish themselves as somebody who's credible in the space, because they're very new. They're not as established as some of the big boys who are trying to kind of put them down, but not directly. So these are ways by leveraging methods like content creation to help bring your message to life and to resonate with your key audience.
Thank you.
You sound like you're not that far from SEO, or do you get involved in that at all?
Yeah, I do. So SEO is something that that's actually one of our core services. That online visibility, we call it SEO on steroids, where we can help clients achieve being seen as #1 on page 1 or the only one on page 1, which means that they eclipse everyone. And whether it's link 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, it's all the client, different assets being seen for that specific search phrase. It could be a video from YouTube, their Facebook post, their Instagram post, their LinkedIn post, their website, a different page on their website, and all these different assets coming together in harmony to showcase that one big front for that specific keyword. So we've done that several times for clients. in various categories like retail and health and wellness, financial services, tech, etc. And the way that we're able to do this is by creating a lot of content. And sometimes the content leverages video in a great degree, because previously Google favored video content a little bit more than traditional, text and image content. So it was kind of like a way to jump the line without per se, while still being white hat. White hat means, above board and, completely legal, ethical.
So your time's up. Any last question for Rajiv? Okay, thank you, Rajiv.
I'll end by keeping my information in the chat. And if anyone has any questions or would like to have a conversation, please reach out.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm going to put in the chat the list of folks as they showed up. So this should go to everyone. And so Andrew, Alan, Christina, Howard, then Ken, in that order. And I think we could do, let's do 2.5 minutes or so. I have it in a mode where it's speaker mode, so you will show up. So if everybody else would go on mute, that would be great. And Andrew Deutsch, you can take it away.
Hello.
You're on.
Thanks for the the slap on the back, Rajiv. I wasn't expecting it. Yeah, today, what are we doing? We're just talking what our companies do.
Yeah, what your companies do. If you want to bring up anything else that you think is
Sure.
relevant, interesting client situations, projects.
Yep. The Fangled Group is the new name of our company. We just completed a total rebrand of the organization. We had been going by the name Fangled Tech for a number of years as we were bringing disruptive tech to market for our clients, but have expanded into other areas. So to try to reduce the confusion of what the name meant, we went to Fangled Group. So we got a new look, new cleaned up logo. And just to reference what Rajiv was talking about, I've been doing video conferencing since before Skype existed. So I'm really used to being remote and I've worked all over the world. So we decided to take some off-the-shelf software that's free and create a course around it so that people could be more engaging when they give presentations. For example, you can change the background and remain in the screen while you're giving a presentation of whatever's behind you. You can hang out in your kitchen with your friends, hang out with your dogs and play some poker while you're supposed to be in a meeting. I've been joking that the recount was done and now I'm the president. So welcome to the new administration. But anyhow, if you're interested in that, hook up and I can get you the link to the course where you can learn how to do that. It's certainly, if you want to connect with people on a personal level and be memorable in your meetings without being too goofy, you can adapt the presentation to the folks who you're working with. So that's did I hit my minute?
You're good. You got 38 seconds left if anybody's got any questions, or if you want to talk more about your core business.
Sure, I'm happy to. We are a global marketing and sales consultancy. We turn off all of the tactics until we actually have a core strategy for our clients based on who their customer is, what are their needs, desires, how you as a company can differentiate in a way that matters to that customer and grow your business. It's all about converting every single touch into a voracious advocate for your brand. That's what we do.
Andrew, so does this mean, does that include like funnels and stuff?
We don't sell funnels. No, we're not a hardware store. Someday we can talk about the sales hourglass. We don't believe in sales funnels in the Fangled method. If you have a funnel, you're losing all of the people you've touched off into the ether when you really want to gather even the people you don't sell to become advocates for your brand, because not everybody who buys makes up the population of people who advocate for who you are. So.
Thank you. Okay.
Yep.
Alan, you're up.
Thank you, Michael, and thank you, Rajiv, for that presentation. So I think the best way to explain what I do is started this business around 2003, 2004, and we were a traditional PR firm. we went out and got clients press coverage, TV, radio, newspapers. But if you can take yourself all the way back to 2003, 2004, there was no social media. There was really no paid content. The digital world looked completely different. And so over the years, we have had to evolve our business in order to stay competitive. So it's interesting that clients still want that old school PR. They still want articles in the newspapers, even though nobody's reading newspapers. However, they also expect a much broader scope of services. So we have been able to pivot. We are, I think our social media services are really first rate. I don't do that myself. I have a team of people way younger than me who are really good at it. And so we offer across all platforms, we offer social for most of our clients. We obviously understand paid content very well. And we provide also additional services. We don't build websites, but we consult with third parties, and we've created websites with those third parties for a number of our clients. We also build landing pages. So we're really a broad marketing company. But as I say, clients still want that old school PR. Types of clients that we tend to represent, we work a lot in media and entertainment, but we're also much broader than that. We represent a winery, we represent a couple of attorneys. We are very involved in the nonprofit space. And in addition, we work on a lot of projects that involve children and families. Some of that is media content, could be digital like apps or podcasts. It could be TV or books, but also working with children with our nonprofits. For example, one of our clients is the Israel Tennis and Education Center. There are 16 centers around Israel who provide tennis and other social services for children from all walks of life in Israel. Jewish, Christian, Muslim, Druze, Palestinian, Bedouin. They all come together in Israel, but their funding comes from North America, not surprisingly. So they brought us on to help build their profile there. So that's the kind of space where we're very comfortable in. We, as I say, but it still involves children and families. So if you are interested in speaking to us about any of these services, I would be happy to have that conversation with you.
Thank you very much. I know a number of people, including myself, who've done work for the Israel tennis centers.
Oh, great. I didn't know that. That's great, Michael.
Yeah.
We should talk about that.
Absolutely. Christina Hagopian, you're up.
So my last presentation, I had thought it had 15 minutes, and I remember halfway through feeling like I needed a do-over. So one day I'll have another presentation about my email marketing skills. It seems to be the core differentiator. We are a graphic design and creative direction company first, but we've developed a specialty in email marketing, especially in the nonprofit space for donations, as specifically to solicit new donations and have our nonprofit clients gain more donations outside of their core donor list. And then e-commerce, it's one of the largest drivers and the highest ROI among all marketing channels. So that has been our core business. We're turning 19 years in September, which seems kind of remarkable. I'm going to have to try to stick it out to 20. I feel like I can start the business over. It's something new. But we really love working from soup to nuts on the branding process, everything from the strategy to the development of a new brand, to logo development, bringing it through a website design, as well as all the marketing channel. And like I said, email is that specialty for us. And we also really, I think that the longer I'm in business, the more I realize that the partnerships that I have with people like you all in the marketing community is like super essential, because as a digital and branding agency and just a creative agency, we definitely need partners for copywriting, for photography, for development. And that's where relationships like Michael have come in, and certainly other vendors within the marketing space. I often need support on the strategy side as well. And so I'm always looking for business strategists and brand strategists. So what we're working on currently are some emails for Black Lives Matter Canada. We're working on some emails for donors for the Montefiore Hospital, getting solicitations to try to build a new program for the children of the Bronx that are in need. So those are two big projects that we're starting, and always the logo and brand development is going on simultaneously. The other big project that we just completed was the New York Auto Show. We did all of the banners for the Javits, creating creative concepts for them. And it was a very exciting project that I'm excited to see. And I will be back in New York so that I can go to the Javits and see the banners in person. I said to my husband, the one thing that never gets old in design is seeing your work like come alive and be published in big spaces. And that thrill has never lost for me.
Thank you. Would love to see it. When is the show?
There's going to be one in August, and then the banners will repeat in April as well. They kind of pushed back the April show, which is usually when the big show happens. So they're doing one this year in August, which is a little bit smaller, and then the big shebang again in April 2023 or 2022.
2022. Howard Levy, you're up.
Very good. It's always cool seeing your work.
It is, right? It never gets old.
Yeah. And point it out to others. Hey, I did that.
Yeah.
So I've been around, my company's Red Rooster Group. We specialize in nonprofit organizations. I've been doing that for about 30 years, working with all kinds of organizations, working with all populations and issues, from youth to seniors to civic associations to government to foundations, and kind of all areas of endeavor. So that's our specialty, is really understanding public good, those organizations who are doing good and advancing for the benefit of society. And we specialize in brand strategy, marketing, and fundraising. So my area of expertise is really on the brand strategy side. Organizations that are struggling to define who they are, and we'll come in and do the assessment for them, give them recommendations on their name, on their brand positioning, on their services, expanding globally, connecting their chapters, their programs, their services, their events, all under one umbrella, providing brand guidelines, providing the strategy, brand training for their staff, systems that could help implement things consistently, so they speaking with one clear voice, and they're galvanizing more participants, more donors, more partners, whatever opportunities they need to engage people in. Last year, or 2 years ago, I guess at this point, we merged with a digital agency, and so we do a lot of digital work as well, very highly effective campaigns. And the third rung after branding, marketing, is fundraising. We help organizations with all kinds of fundraising efforts, from their annual campaigns to their events to capital campaigns. And what is unique about Red Rooster Group is using behavioral science principles. So really understanding the psychology and triggers that motivate people to act, principles of ego connection and social norms and loss aversion and set completion and other things that we could use in order to get people to take action. And so that's what we've been doing at Red Rooster Group.
Thank you. Good timing.
I just want to give a shout out to Howard that some of our most rewarding nonprofit clients have been in partnership with Red Rooster.
That's great. And maybe even the Israel Tennis Centers. I actually sat down for lunch with somebody, and there were 2 people at the table who had done work for the Israel Tennis Centers, in addition to myself. All right, let's see. Ken Simon, then Bryce. Ken, you're up.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I do strategic marketing, demand generation type programs for financial service companies and B2B companies mostly. What that means is I work with a company and help them understand who their customers are, what their needs are, and then develop the strategies for them to use to go after those customers. Like that could be demand gen, email campaigns, public relations, strategic planning. For example, I worked with an insurance company who needed help trying to figure out what markets to go, what they wanted to know what markets they should target. So I helped them understand by doing interviews of their sales force and customers to figure out what markets they should enter and what gave them the best opportunity to go after. And then I developed a strategy for them to use to go after those markets, which was an email campaign, and supported by their salespeople and then following up. Then also I've worked with other companies where I've developed digital marketing campaigns for lead gen, driving leads to them and their sales force. And so I'm trying to expand my, I'm looking for opportunities with companies that are looking to grow their business and know what markets to go after.
And you have Yoda to guide you.
And I have Yoda, it's Baby Yoda.
Oh, that's Baby Yoda. Okay.
1,000-piece Lego set my kids gave me.
That little thing's 1,000 pieces
Yeah.
behind your shoulder, on your left shoulder.
Yeah.
That's wow. I guess it's bigger than it appears.
It's not that big, but it's a lot of small pieces.
There you go. All
And it
right.
moves too.
Wow, impressive. I think you should
Here
add that
in
to your
Amish country, we all have our own baby Yoder.
Baby Yoder. I
Yeah.
don't know what a Yoder is, but it must be
It's a
Amish.
common, it's an Amish name.
Ah, all right. Bryce, you are up.
Yeah, Howard, I think I might have somebody for you to work with. I don't know if you ever heard of Beacon of Hope, but they do like second chance hiring. I connected with them through Serial Marketers, and I'm going to speak with them later this week, probably. So yeah, I'll talk to them and see if they might be a good fit for you.
Okay.
And I think I remember connecting you with somebody for payment processing for nonprofits. Did you ever connect with them?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Did I connect you with somebody for payment processing for nonprofits?
I don't recall that. If
Okay,
so, I didn't connect with them.
Okay, I'll do an introduction for you.
Okay, thanks.
So yeah, Rajiv was talking about dominating the first page of Google, and we actually do that as well. And this is what it looks like. So our client is Hush City, so they've got basically all of the organic listings, and one of our products does this really, really well. Basically, it's just a magnifier of content and keywords that your company cares about. That's pretty much what I'm working on mainly right now, because it's one of our flagship products, and it just absolutely destroys the competitors to the point where the only way that they can compete is with ads. And so that's what I've been typically working on right now. That product is actually being reworked and improved. So right now it gets your content on over 400 news sites per cycle. You can do that up to 4 times per month. And we're working with a number of public companies for increasing their stock value and a couple other regimens for increasing their digital presence. So yeah, if anybody wants to connect with me, that's one of the main things that we're doing right now.
Do you need a lot of content for that?
You just need basically one seed article, and we create all the content. So we create a slide share, a podcast, a short video, actual submission content that goes out to the actual news sites. So that's all done in-house.
Yeah, Alan Winikoff, you might be interested in checking that out. I don't know if the two of you have spoken, but it's a technology-based solution that is sort of a mashup of PR and SEO.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, we added some SEO magic to the back end basics of doing PR and submissions to news sites. But it's the SEO magic that really does the damage, because over time, so this company did this for about 6 months, twice a month, and after you do it for that much, there's just so much content and so many backlinks that compared to your competitors that do normal SEO, you can't even compare it. It's like literally tens of thousands of dollars worth in normal SEO for a fraction of the cost.
And it takes advantage of the fact that Google treats news articles very differently than they treat owned content.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thanks.
Victor Lee, then Jason.
Thanks, Michael. Good morning, everybody. So what I do, and I think I've drawn a few of you into this web I've created, is what I do is basically it's all about networking. So what I do is I work with friends who are super connectors, and we find interesting opportunities. And then I work with that group of super connectors, and we find the other side of the transaction. And if something happens, then we all get paid. So and this group has really been terrific for that. So for example, Rajiv introduced me to somebody in a fantasy sports. So we introduced them to Michael, and Michael then introduced us to somebody else who might be interested in that. And I'm kind of the person in the middle. So really what I'm looking for is sort of offbeat opportunities. I've got another one I'm working on with Bryce, who is obviously a digital marketer extraordinaire, but also came across some strange green construction tech company. So I'm mining my network to see if there might be some opportunities there as well. So the way I put it is I help my connections monetize their connections, especially for weird offbeat sorts of things. And in the course of doing this, I've created a new networking methodology, which I call the impresario approach. I think I've given it to this group, and I've given it to some other groups as well. And I try to take a different view of networking. Most networking groups, they talk about, you want to build relationships and through reciprocity. And I just think that's a pile of crap, pardon my language. So I've really developed some counterintuitive approaches from a strategic point of view as to how to network. But I also look at it from a very granular point of view. Just like, how do you connect with people on LinkedIn? What do you do when people reach out to you on LinkedIn? And there's sort of a methodology in how to sort of draw people into your orbit. So I'm happy to chat with anybody about either side of this, either weird and offbeat transactions where we can all make some money, or sorry, I just saw Rajiv's note, or talk, if you're interested in discussing a new and different way to network. So that's what I'm about. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. And I have a company that I might want to introduce you to that does prefab concrete for building structures.
Fabulous.
Could I ask a question, or I know you're keeping a time pace here?
Okay.
How do you actually work in terms of billing structure or engagement with a client?
Sure. So like the company that Rajiv introduced me to, I have a business development agreement with them. So if whatever introductions I make, I get paid. And then depending who we introduce them to, Rajiv made the initial introduction, so he's part of the pool. And then whoever else, whether it's Michael and his connection or other people, everybody who's in the chain participates.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay.
Thanks, Howard.
Jason Cement.
Hi, been a little quiet today for me. So I run a marketing agency. We build and promote websites with rankings and ads and social media stuff. But I want to talk about the second thing, which is because it's just creating a lot of traction recently, is I have a e-commerce sort of platform. It's called Adricom. I'll put it in the chat. It sits in between Shopify and Magento in the sense that it's cheaper than both of those solutions, but it's all homegrown. So there's no conflicts with plugin developers. It's very fast. So we're able to deploy a site probably in a third the time of Magento, for example. And in case you're running into clients that don't want they don't want a cookie cutter solution and they think they're going to have complications, then it's worth talking. So that's it. Very simple.
Jason, I have a question. So as far as your platform, is it designed for like loading speed, or is it designed for ease of use or fast construction?
So here, yes, SEO clearly is a concern. So fast pages, sure. The ease of use, yes and no. The real key is the client has to decide, are they in the business of being a technology company, or do they want to be in the business of selling what they sell? So if they want to be technology, that means they got to hire a webmaster. They got to have the team behind them. It's a big investment versus this way, they offload the entire technology to the Adricom company. So Adricom it has the solution. It's 18 years old, but really what they're selling is the team behind the solution.
So it's like a managed services type deal?
Yeah. I mean, you can run with it yourself. It's not open source. It's what we call open access. So you see all the templates and everything, but principally it's a company that is just tired of dealing with overhead of people leaving and coming in, and they have technology, like knowledge transfer issues, and they just don't want to have that team anymore. And they just want to make money. They don't want to be technology people. That's what we're finding.
Yeah, I mean, building a Magento website, for example, or e-commerce site can be very expensive.
The license fees alone are 30 grand a year before you get work.
Right.
Yeah.
And Jason, did you connect with Ashley? Did that go anywhere?
Which one? Which one was Ashley? I gotta remember.
The human resources lady.
Yes, but not related to this. That's related to your ETR stuff. I did. Yes, thank you for that.
Okay.
Developed.
We had two other folks, Mark and Andrea, but I think they both had to cut out. Andrea said she might come back, but it doesn't look like she is. So I will go. So as you know, my company, Software Development Resources, is an agency, a sales agency for software development teams. So we represent about 10 different teams. One that I think I'd like to talk about today, which is a little bit on the fringes because it's not core software development. It's a mashup between design and development. And that is a team that does 3D renderings. I'm going to share my screen to show you a couple of their renderings. Can folks see that? Can people see that? Okay, I see some nods. Okay. So this is it doesn't exist. It's a piece of furniture that is sold by our client. And what they do is they promote it on their websites. They design it, they promote it on their website. They figure out what it's going to cost them. They price it. And then if people want it, they make it. So, they don't have to invest up front in the high cost of building the products themselves. They do that on a one-off basis, and it's fairly customized. So here's a few different angles of the same piece, and you can see it's a mix of wood and metal. Some of it highly polished. This actually goes to some of the elements that we get. So this is a bitmap of one of the surfaces, and then when you put it together in this 3D model, it's very real looking. The amazing thing about this, it's obviously very well done, but I think these three images cost the client $320. So I clearly don't make a lot of money on this, but it is a capability that hopefully with the volume, it will grow, but it's really quite an impressive capability for the price. So for this, really anybody who needs any 3D renderings, whether it be architectural, real estate, package design, this company does a lot in architecture and real estate, and they also do some package design work. But those are the types of clients that would be a good fit for us there. And then the other work, of course, is my core work. Is doing websites and mobile applications, e-commerce sites. And I work with about 10 different companies, and we also partner with digital marketing agencies that don't always have those resources in-house to do that work. So we have another 11 minutes. I'm going to go to the gallery view again. Any questions, comments?
Michael?
Yes.
So based on what you just shared, so the company that does all this like 3D printing or whatever, so is that those kind of models that we sometimes see in like real estate developer offices about their new project, and
It's
like
not a physical model, it's a virtual model. So it's something you would see on the website where you could turn it. I mean, it depends on how you want to show it, how you want to present it, but the model is three-dimensional. So you can in fact show it on a website and turn it and have an animation so you see it from different angles, but it doesn't necessarily exist. It could exist. It could be a 3D model of something that exists, but oftentimes if it does exist, it's cheaper to take pictures than it is to build a 3D model.
Oh, got it.
But
So
in
that
this
means,
case, go ahead.
so that means this could be like used by any of Jason's customers, since Jason is in the e-commerce business. So any
Yeah, I mean, some
product,
people do take 3D models. I mean, again, usually it's cheaper to have pictures of your product if product exists already. Although I understand that on Amazon, the images that are 3D renderings tend to actually capture greater attention than the actual photographs, because you can do things like, you know, add highlights, you could punch out colors more, you could do things that you can't do with, I guess you could do it using touch-up, but apparently there's some benefits to this in the Amazon and e-commerce world.
Michael, so this particular company, is it better, you know, like more accurate, or is it faster or cheaper or?
Cheaper. I mean, they do a really good job and they do it for peanuts. I mean, they're based in Israel and Ukraine.
Hmm.
You know, I got a quote for the same work in the US, and per piece it was going to be $1,500. This is $300.
Wow. Okay.
If you're launching a new product, being able to do 3D renderings before you spend the money to fabricate is I mean, just a fantastic way to go. I've done it with multiple products that we've brought to market over the years, and a 3D rendering at $300, it's practically free compared to what we used to pay for that kind of work.
Yeah, and so I'm always looking for folks that want to, you know, that want to see it. Oftentimes it's before you be a package design or whatever, before you actually spend the money on a prototype. You want to get a feel for what it looks like and then make changes, right?
Yeah, about
Changes to
six months ago, we were working on a consumer product and we were doing focus groups. And rather than having actual product, because we hadn't designed the packaging yet, we used a 3D rendering firm to do 5 different versions of it that we were able to refine with a focus group. Had we done that by actually building the packaging, it would have been about an $18,000 spend. And I think we spent 2.5 for all the renderings. So yeah, it's a great opportunity. If your guys are that inexpensive, if you need a 3D render, you got to be talking to Michael.
Yeah, it's these guys are very talented, women too. I mean, actually it's more women than it is men, interestingly.
Oh no, if there's women doing it, then you don't.
No question if it's men. Yeah, really talented group. And in fact, the interesting thing is everybody, both on the client side and on my vendor side, are all women in this particular project. So, and those products, that table is a $30,000 table. So yeah, they're expensive pieces. They're custom, right? And you could see the quality.
Michael, quick question. Like, do you have some kind of like a one-page document or something that plainly lists the various kind of associations you have? Because this is the first time that I've heard that you even had this 3D design capability. Previously, I knew about like the software development and design aspect of it, but I didn't, this is like news to me. So is this like an evolving thing, or have you already?
It's something that came up pretty recently. I've been working with this company for a while, but you know, this is the first time they've done anything in the furniture space, and I thought it was pretty impressive. So no, I don't have a one pager, and most of the stuff that I do, as I said, is you know, the basic websites and mobile applications and e-commerce. There are some niche things like this, like big data applications, blockchain applications, but so anything related to, you know, software development. This is obviously fairly technical. It's a mix between design and software development.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'd love to speak to you about like putting one together, because I recently was playing around with Canva and somehow stumbled upon like a template that I designed for RSQUARE. But I'm happy to kind of like share that with you if you can kind of use that to sort of create a one page of your own.
Yeah, that might be certainly worth our time. So would love to connect.